So the management that local communities can do fundamentally builds on their rights. It's pretty straightforward. If you don't have the right to manage and benefit from a resource, why would you put the work into doing it so that somebody else can take the benefit? So if there's one secret, it's making sure that the rights are clear. The rights could be of very many different types, as long as they are clear and the communities are happy working under that framework. They don't need to be legal. In fact, in most cases, they're not legal. They just need to be clear enough to be able to, for the community to enforce them and be relatively sure it'll get some benefit out of it. But the big threats, from our point of view, the incentive to finish your resources so you can get $1 is not a threat that most of the communities are able to deal with or have ever traditionally had to deal with. So the commercial pressures are a very big one, and then the pressures of development, which can be things like logging or mining, or it could be construction in coastal areas, and many of the impacts of those hit the sea and therefore spread out into the fishing grounds and affect villages. Both those things, the pressure of the dollar and the pressure of development, are things that communities can't directly control. And this is why we have to be very clear the role of government. So the government can take an easy backseat as far as some of the local enforcement is concerned, but where those pressures are beyond the control of communities, in particular the two I've mentioned, then we need a very clear strategy from government that will take away some of those pressures.
Yeah.
So the key point is that when local communities come together to decide how to increase the sustainability of their livelihoods, how to improve their futures, how to keep what they've got, they will have to identify the particular threats and problems that they are facing and very clearly choose tools that are best suited to their circumstance and to deal with those problems. If it is, for example, closing a spawning area or a particular area for other ecological reasons, if that is the best solution to their particular livelihood problem, then that's fine. And so in that sense, there's nothing wrong with marine protected areas, marine reserves. On the other hand, what really we're looking at here is management, resource management. That's why the locally managed marine areas were called managed areas. And so the kind of simplistic approach that what everybody needs is MPAs is self-evidently incorrect. And there's a huge pressure in the world at the moment to do MPAs. And that may be a position that developed countries can afford to take with huge aquaculture industries and most people not associated with the sea. But developing countries and islands, they are living with the sea, and they have lived with the sea for thousands of years. And it kind of having a Western model or an idea about conservation enforced on them as a good thing, when in fact management is what they really need to be worrying about, is counterproductive. Most of our countries are still developing countries. They're very freshly independent, as many developing countries are. And at the moment, I would not say the governments have got to the stage where public administration or governance or financial accountability is anywhere nearly developed enough to ensure that any extractive benefits will stay and make a significant difference to the country. And of course, meanwhile, we have very important tuna resources generating $500 million a year in access fees alone, and we've got a $500 million coastal fishery industry. And I would need to be reassured strongly that people have thought of that there are absolutely no impacts between the activities involved in deep sea mining and caused on coastal or oceanic fisheries. The PNA countries, which are a subset of the countries in the Pacific, are the ones which have most of the skipjack tuna in their fishing grounds, and they've been able to come together as a kind of a community of countries to act as like one big fishing area and be able to give out access rights to the distant water fishing nations. And this has resulted in being able to act as a group, as a cartel, and being able to command a higher price, auction the access fees, and greatly increase the benefits to countries. Most of my work is with communities at the inshore coastal fisheries level. And some of the factors that seem to be crucial to the success of coastal fisheries management, they actually seem to be the underlying factors for success in the parties in the Nauru Agreement. The vast amount of money coming in from tuna, none of that, as far as we can make out, is going into managing coastal fisheries. We're not even sure how much of it is going into managing tuna fisheries. And so the governments should be held more to account in terms of closing that loop. In other words, if we depend on marine resources and they're creating a huge benefit for the countries, then some money should be investing back in to making sure that those marine resources stay healthy for the future.